Good morning, students. Just to recall what was done in the last session, that is a brush up with your previous knowledge, what biology is, what cell is, who discovered cell. So this is all one idea you have got to differentiate what is your organisms present on earth, okay, and what is their role. So one idea you have got. So biology is clear for you now, study of life. So I'll be starting with your first chapter under unit 1. So unit 1 is your diversity in the living world. So under that the first chapter is the living world. The term living gives you an idea. If an organism has to be alive, that person should be showing movement, responding to you or giving some functions, doing some actions, okay, or producing something. It may be a plant which produces fruit, or it grows in height producing flowers, showing it should be green. When do you say it is dead? When it is totally brown and it is completely fallen, half fallen. So that is when we say it is dead, it is not living. What about humans? Of course, breathing. We check for breathing if the person is alive or not. If the person is unable to move, that means again there we just have a doubt whether he's alive or not. So we are saying externally something, if it shows movement, if it produces something, okay, if it responds to me, like the question, if I ask you, you respond to me. If I ask a question to the wall, will it respond to me? No. So I hope you're getting a difference there, living, non-living. So the biology is derived from your Greek word bios and logia. Bios means life, logia means study. So study of life is called biology. So we are studying about life that is present in the organism. So we call them as living organism. If you ask a definition for life, we cannot give you the exact definition, but we can prepare a definition to define life. So here in general we are saying life can be defined as the property or quality. Remember, it is the property or quality of living organisms. That is, your life is the property or quality of living organisms that distinguishes from the dead or from the non-living. So what are those properties? It could be growth, metabolism, response to stimuli, and reproduction. Remember, only if these properties or these qualities are present in a thing, okay, then only that person is said to be having life. Okay. So when I say growth, let me first give you an example of a book. A book, when it is kept on your table, does it grow in size after 1 year? Definitely no. Does it reproduce? Does it give one more book if you keep for 1 year? Of course no, it does not. Okay. Then when I say metabolism, it is your reactions occurring within the system. So here metabolism does not occur. There is no reaction occurring inside the book. Okay. So this is not metabolism. Then cellular organization. Do you have any cells? No, it does not have any cells. So we don't say it is having cells there. Consciousness. The moment you drop the book down, does it scream? No. So all this it doesn't do in a book. So book is a living or non-living now? Yes, it is a non-living. Now when do I call a thing to be living? So imagine you are having a plant. It shows growth, yes. From the seed, it will give rise to, it will germinate into your seedling or the sapling, and then finally your plant, and then tree. So that is how your growth is shown. Reproduction, yes, seeds are formed. So one generation, of plants is producing another generation. Similarly, I'm saying in case of humans. Okay, so from one cell, the whole body has to be formed. The whole organism should be formed. So when I say reproduction, you might have heard about parents give birth to young ones. I'll just write baby here, young ones. Okay, forgive me, there is a difficulty in writing. So it is my touch screen here, that's why. So I'll be writing short forms, but you are not allowed to write short forms in your exams. In your notes you can follow short forms, but not for your exam. It is better you start practicing now to write the full terms. Okay, now, so you have understood reproduction. From parent, a young one is formed. Now this is your reproduction, one generation to another generation formation, or we call this process as reproduction. So production and reproduction. I hope you are getting some idea. Don't worry, I'll be going in detail. Then metabolism. You eat the food. Okay, so you have a plate, you have the food. So definitely you'll eat it for energy purpose. Then you will exercise a lot. Okay, and again you will feel hungry, you will feel thirsty. And again you will consume the food. So what is happening ultimately? Whatever you take in the food is getting used up by the cells. So remember, now we are talking about your cells now. So cells will use up the energy, and then you know very well, oxygen is required, glucose is required for the cell to be active. Then what is released out? Excretory waste and carbon dioxide is released. So this is your respiration activity. Then cellular organization. You know your bacteria, amoeba, they are all unicellular. Okay? Whereas humans, we all are multicellular. Yes, the cells are not visible to the eyes. Okay? They are observed only under the microscope. So I hope you are getting some idea. I've just given the brief idea about these terms. This is your properties we are learning today as a part of your the characteristic to identify the living organism. So the characteristic features of living organisms we are going in detail today. So the last one, consciousness. As discussed in the last session, that is, when I question you, when I say something, give some information to you, you are receiving it positively. Okay, this is called consciousness. You are listening carefully. And in some cases, like in your regular classes, you have already experienced that when you are listening to the class and that the teacher is explaining but nothing is entering your head, it is because you are daydreaming. That is the time your conscious level is shifting. So what I'm trying to say is your consciousness, how it is responding at that particular situation. So when you're daydreaming, your friend may be there next to you who will pinch you. You will definitely react to her, either shouting at her or pinching back. Okay, so that is how you give a response to her. So this is called as your response to stimulus or the consciousness. So I hope the ideas are getting clear with your response to stimulus, consciousness. It is all I'm relating together there. So you got the idea what the characteristics of living organisms are. So this is your 5-mark question. Please note it. This is your 5-mark question. So when I say 5-mark question, just don't write the side headings. These side headings are important and you have to explain few sentences under that. So I'll just explain you each characteristic. Let us start with the growth. So when I say growth, it is the increase in mass and number. When I say mass, number, let me just show you what is here. Okay, you can see one cell. It has divided. Finally, your organism is ready. Okay, so as the cell divides again and again, can you see the number of cells increasing? Yes. Can you see the weight increasing? Yes, of course. So I hope you can see in animal how the development takes place, how in plant the development takes place. So during the development, we call it as your growth phase itself, you can see cell will divide, and that's how the mass is increased. So you can see how the mass has increased in each phase. So this is just an idea, no need of studying, this. This is only an idea. So I hope it is clear now. Increase in mass and number. So how does it get increased? Growth depends on cell division. So if there is something to be increased in number, it is only by dividing something, right? So it is cell division process. So in case of plants, division occurs continuously. Whereas in animals, it will grow, okay, it will divide and stop at a particular age. Why do I say stop? Now when I say you have grown now, right now, is your brain growing still? No, your brain has stopped growing. It is functioning right now. Even your eyeballs, even the heart, even the liver, even the intestine, okay, so that is all the same size, except your height is increasing. It is because the cell division occurs at various places, but certain places it does not. So after that age, we say, right, so after 20 onwards the height will not grow. So that is one saying your elders will say. So if you want to grow tall, you have to do the exercise, you have to do pull-ups right now. So this is how the advice is given by your family members. So I hope you got it. So in case of animals, so I've included example as humans, there is a particular age where the growth stops. Okay, growth will stop. In case of plant, it is not like that. You might have seen people will cut the plants in the rainy season, so the new leaves can arise, new branches will arise. If you allow the plant to be like that only in your garden, then it will turn into a jungle. Your whole yard becomes into a jungle. So this is what we are trying to say. The plants can divide continuously. Okay, it keeps growing the branches, it keeps growing the leaves, it falls off at a particular season. So that is how it is continuously growing, we are saying. Whereas animals, at a particular age, it stops growing. Okay, so this is the two things which you have to remember. Plants, they can regain the cell division, but whereas animals, they cannot regain the cell division. Okay, so when I say old age, it is difficult for them to, imagine an old person is having a hurt, a small wound on the finger. It is difficult for them to heal. Okay, so that is what I'm trying to say. The healing property is slow. What am I trying to say is cell division should occur to close the cut on the finger. Okay, the cut on the finger should be closed by cell division. Because of the old age, the ability to cell for the cell to divide is no more. That's why it is unable to heal. Okay, so you got some ideas here. So here it is your animals. They will divide but up to a certain age. Okay, so what is this cell division actually does? So I've told you, as in the younger generation, in the younger ages, cell division is the one which will replace the lost cells. So the moment you get hurt, it will start healing, right? Your area where you got hurt, it starts healing. It is because of cell division. Now you have to remember, you are a multicellular organism, and cell division is used for increase in mass, increase in cell number, as well as for healing. But in case of unicellular, okay, it is increasing the population, because it is the only mode of reproduction. For unicellular organism, division is the only mode of reproduction. You remember amoeba? So amoeba, I have shown it here. So you can see amoeba is actually doing cell division. So the name for cell division is binary fission. You remember binary fission in your earlier classes? Maybe in 8th, 9th, 10th, somewhere there it is taught. So there you have learnt about binary fission. It is a type of cell division. So here you have to remember about that. And remember to say cell division is to increase in number of cells, yes, of course, but it is not to increase the mass, it is only number. So when I say growth, we are talking about increase in body mass. Okay, now what about non-living things like your mountains, sand molds? So let me just give you an idea. If the growth occurs from inside, okay, occurs from inside, so you know how a plant is grown. It starts from within the seed. So inside the seed all this is happening, okay? Inside the seed all these are happening. All these meaning to say all these stages happen. So you can see from one cell it turns into a variety of stages and finally your plant is ready. So it is all inside, we cannot see it. Only under microscope we can see. So what I'm trying to say is growth is inside. Growth is inside. Even here growth is inside. Now I'll show you something. You know your snowball? What happens if you roll down? It keeps increasing in size because it catches the snow again and again and increases the diameter of the snowball. So this is what I'm trying to say. Here also the growth is seen. What do you mean by growth? Increase in mass, right? Increase in mass is growth, right? So is snowball showing growth? I have to say yes, because growth means increase in mass. But what are we trying to say here is, for the living characteristic, if the body is showing growth, or that is your formation of cells inside the body, we call the term as intussusception. Okay, so 1 mark question, intussusception. The growth due to formation of cells is inside the body. So this is found in living organism. But in case of non-living, it is addition of similar materials to their outer surface. So that is your accretion. 1 mark question, what is accretion? So addition of similar materials to the outer surface, hence there is growth observed, and it occurs in non-living things. So that's what I'm trying to say. This is your growth from inside, intussusception, and this is your accretion, growth from outside, growth externally. So what I'm trying to say is the cell divides, okay, it keeps dividing and produces more in number. So that's what they have shown here. Cell growth, when we say, see the increase in the size. Okay, one cell only that increases. So you will understand better as we go through the topics. It even occurs in your second PUC topics. So as we go through the first PUC topics only, you will get the better idea. So you just remember this basic knowledge of what cell growth, cell division is. So can I say if there is growth, that means they are living? No. So it does not have the defining property for living organism. So growth cannot be the defining property. So that's what we are saying. We cannot define life properly. We can say this property should be there, but that is not the ultimate answer. So here growth can't be the ultimate answer. Why? Just because of one drawback, that is accretion. What is accretion? That is externally the materials are added, and that's how the increase in mass is observed. So let us go for the second characteristic, that is reproduction. So when I say reproduction, organisms reproduce to progeny similar to them. So when I say this sentence, you may not understand easily. What they are trying to say is, from your parent cell, okay, from your parent cell, you get daughter cells. Daughter cells are here. Okay, so what we are trying to say is, organisms reproduce. They reproduce, okay, to progeny. When I say progeny, young ones. Progeny means young ones. And this progeny is similar to the parent. So I hope you have got some idea. So look at this here. Same thing. The young one is similar to the parents, right? It is not forming your tiger or some other organism. So when human is reproducing, a human is only born. Okay. So there are two types of reproduction, asexual and sexual reproduction. So when I say asexual, there is absence of gametes. So let me just show you here. This is your fertilization. A better picture is here. So you know your female that produces egg, male produces sperm. So when it fuses, so the fusion process is called as fertilization. It forms the zygote, and then zygote develops into embryo, and you know the process next. Embryo will develop into the fetus. Fetus after birth, it is the young one, your infant. Then it will develop into adult. Then the same cycle repeats again. So you understood about the sexual reproduction. There is involvement of gametes. In case of your sexual reproduction, remember, biparental, male, female is seen. When I say asexual, it is uniparental. So you can see the parent cell, there is one, amoeba. It first undergoes nuclear division. You can see the nucleus is into two, divided into two. Then the cytoplasmic division. Can you see the cytoplasm is separated? And then finally they are completely separated to form two daughter cells. So here I'm just explaining the types of asexual reproduction. There is your budding, spore formation, regeneration, fragmentation. So fragmentation, regeneration example is here. You might have heard about planaria. So this is your planaria, the flatworm. Okay, so this planaria, if you cut in any direction you cut, it produces into the whole organism. So you can see the head portion is cut. The head portion is able to produce the whole organism. Same over here. So here they have shown the tail region. So any part, even the middle can show, it develops into the whole organism. So what do you mean by fragmentation? Breaking into parts. That is called fragmentation. Regeneration means it is the ability to regrow. Okay, ability to regrow, that is regeneration. So then there is your budding. Can you see here the hydra? You will understand what hydra is in your future chapters. So hydra is the one which undergoes budding. So there is no other parent. It is only single parent. So it gives a small outgrowth. So this is your small outgrowth over here. And that finally will cut off and forms a separate organism. So that's what they've given, develop into new organism. Regeneration, as I said earlier, not only planaria, even in hydra it is observed, even in starfish it is observed. So hope it is clear. So it will develop or regenerate from the lost parts or worn out parts. Then the spore formation, you know about your fungi. They produce spores, which is called as sporangium. So at a favorable time, they will burst and release the spores. So this is again your important, you have to remember unicellular bodies in the parent that are enabled to grow into new organisms. So when I say spore formation, I'm talking about this spore, okay, that black dot, which is a unicellular body. Okay, unicellular body that will grow into a new organism. So new organism is here multicellular. So I hope you got some idea. Okay, so this is how your types of asexual and sexual reproduction is. Coming to your metabolism. Now when I say metabolism, you have to remember this definition. All organisms, sorry, not that. The definition is here. Sum total of all chemical reactions are called metabolism. So when I say sum total of all chemical reactions, so there is your building up reaction, there is your breaking or breaking down reaction. So based on the names, we have the particular example shown. So first you should know our cell is made up of biomolecules, right? So we call it as biomolecules. So that's how they are made and changed to other molecules. They are modified. So you can understand this better, how they are made and how they are changed. You'll understand better in your third unit. Okay, so you don't worry about it right now. You have to remember, one molecule is there, it will convert to another molecule. Okay, so another molecule, so I'm just showing in different shapes. So that conversion is your metabolism. Okay, it could be breaking down. So you have some molecule here, it gets broken down. So this is your breaking down reaction, which we call it as catabolism. Building up is your reverse. So you have certain molecules, when you add them, it forms your bigger structure, which we call it as building up process, another term anabolism. So the best example here is your photosynthesis and respiration. So your anabolism is photosynthesis. When I say photosynthesis, you know very well the raw materials are water, carbon dioxide, and in the presence of sunlight that provides solar energy, the plant can produce food, that is your glucose, as well as the important gas oxygen. So this is your building up. From small molecules we got big molecule. Building up process is called anabolism. Then the second example is catabolism, cellular respiration. So this glucose, now this is a reverse reaction. See the glucose, when we take glucose with your food, in your food it will be present. So when you're breathing oxygen, this oxygen is used to break down glucose. So the energy is obtained for your body actions. For any of your body work, energy is given because of respiration. So you hope you understood here. Glucose is broken down to produce carbon dioxide, water and energy. So this is an important reaction which you should be remembering it and able to write in the exam. Okay, so this is a very important feature. Non-living things do not show metabolism. Non-living things do not show metabolism. So this is why we are saying metabolism is the defining feature of living things. So metabolism is the defining feature of living things. There's one more thing here. Cellular organization of the body is also the defining feature of life form. What do you mean by cellular organization? Let me first show you the cellular organization. You know your multicellular body, right? When I say multicellular body, you have your cells. Here example muscles. Muscle cell, it will not be alone, it will be with the group of cells. So group of cells are called tissues. Then these tissues together form organ. So you know your muscular heart, which will be keeping the blood pumping continuously. And this variety of organs are coordinated together to form a system, which we call it as organ system. Then only the organism is complete. So this is your multicellular organism. Okay, this is your multicellular organism. From the cell, the whole organ system is observed. Same in case of plants. In case of your unicellular organism, bacteria, okay, and certain protozoans. When I say protozoa, they are eukaryotic. So remember, prokaryotic, eukaryotic. When I say eukaryotic, amoeba, paramecium, all the protozoans come there. So bacteria is your monera. You'll understand better about the structure later on. I just gave you the cell organization. So it is a important feature. So you have to remember what is defining now. So growth was not, but reproduction they have not told anything. The reason for reproduction we are not keeping as a defining feature. Later on we'll discuss. Okay, because asexual, sexual reproduction we have discussed, but we are not giving that as your defining feature. There is a particular defining feature, which is that metabolism. Reaction should be shown inside the cell. So inside the cell, a reaction is shown, a function is shown, that is your production of food or using up the food for energy. Okay. This, I hope you understood. Photosynthesis is your production of food. Respiration is for the production of energy. So I hope you're getting some idea. And anabolism, catabolism. Anabolism building up, catabolism breaking down. That's why metabolism is a defining feature of living things, including, we are saying, the cellular organization. All these reactions occur inside the cell. That's why we are highlighting cellular organization as the defining feature of the life forms. So I hope it is clear. So this is what I've written here, just to make you more clear about it. And I've given the difference here now. So anabolism is the one which is making the building up process. Okay, so when I say building up, it is from simple, it turns complex. From small, okay, small, it gets added up to produce bigger one. Okay, it produces bigger molecule. So it is simple to complex. Then in case of your catabolism, complex to simple, it gets degraded. So same thing here. Since it is storing energy, it is your anabolism, building up process. It stores the energy. Catabolism, it breaks the molecule to release the energy. Okay, here bonding takes place, so energy is used for the bonding. Here breaking is taking place, breaking occurs, breaking of the bond occurs. That's why the energy is released. That's why the reaction we have given exergonic and endergonic reactions. So I hope you understood something about these: metabolism, reproduction, cellular organization, then your growth. So I won't go much detail. I hope overview was enough for you to give a better clarity between the different properties. So now you've understood, out of the 4 which we have studied, 2 are taken as defining property. That is your metabolism, cellular organization. Now third one also we have included as a defining property, consciousness. So this is the third defining property for a living organism. So what is it we are saying consciousness? So we are talking about the response to stimuli, that is your consciousness. So this living organisms, they can sense the surrounding. Okay, they can sense. For example, look at this touch me not plant. The moment you touch, it immediately closes. Even at home, someone is telling you, okay, you know very well, you know to prepare omelette. So the ones who are very new, you know very well and has experienced it, a very hot pan, when it touches your hand, you immediately react, right? You immediately react. So this is your stimulus, a response to your stimulus. Stimulus was hot. Okay, stimulus was hot. What was the response? Remove your hand back. Okay, so same thing here. Stimulus was a touch. What was the response? Closing of the leaflets. So I hope you are getting some idea here. Okay, so that's what we are saying. So organisms have sense organs, and that's how they can sense the stimulus around them. So touch, smell, hearing, all this is your stimulus, and response is how you react to it. Same thing like your photoperiod. When I say photoperiod, you know your sunflower that follows the direction of the sun. But when I'm talking about the photoperiod, that is very important for flowering. So only after a particular daylight, it can produce flowers. So not only in flowers, not only in plants, even in animals it happens. So we are talking about a season where the animals go to sleep. You might have heard about hibernation. You might have heard about estivation. So all that is in case of animals. Based on the season, they are able to reproduce, they are able to hibernate themselves. So I hope it is clear. That is your photoperiod. We usually give photoperiod because that is what is influencing the light. Time limit of a light is influencing for reproduction. Maybe it is for flowering, or it may be for the, in case of animals, it is the copulation or mating season. So I hope it is clear. So we are specially talking about being aware. In case of humans, it is being aware. So this is called as consciousness, and this defines the living organism. So I've just given some more examples here. You know your train, we call, I think you all call it as chair and tape. It is actually the millipede. The moment you touch, it becomes chakuli, which you all call. Okay, it's a good thing we have this childhood habits. The moment you touch, it turns into a coiled structure. So we call it as chakuli. So some call it as chair and tay, which is I think you all some know, some do not know. It is a millipede. But you know very well, the moment you touch, it shows this circle like chakuli itself. You know what is chakuli, right? The snack. Okay, I can't tell more here because it's very difficult to be explaining in the online session. If it was offline, definitely you would get better ideas. I would be able to identify whether you have got it or not. So mainly I'm talking about is your diversity of the living world. That is your main unit. So under that we have discussed about your first chapter, living world. So when I say biodiversity, life in variety, diversity. So definition is here, number of varieties of plants and animals present on earth is called as biodiversity. So number of species known, they have given a range here, 1.7 to 1.8. It can cross more than that. It is more than that also. Okay. So the question comes, why do you have to know all them? Let them be there. None of my business. No. See, when we are studying biology, when you are going to point out in the market, I want beetroot, I want carrot. Imagine if there was like no name for it. Would you be able to call it as carrot, beetroot? Of course not. Those are your local names. Okay. But in case if you have to be a scientist and go deeper, what carrot contains, what beetroot contains, and then you have to know why beetroot will come in different shapes. So all that if you have to study, then we have to name them, where even an American should know that this is beetroot, this is your carrot. Of course, beetroot carrot is common even for Americans. I'm saying in like if you are using local language. Okay. So if for potato we say batate. And if you say batate to the American, they will not immediately get what you are trying to say. So we need to standardize the name, standardize the naming of the organism. So we need the classification system. Okay. Though it is variety, it's lots in number. Millions are there. Millions are there. You can't say this, that, this. You can't say that. So we have to require, we have to name them. We require their classification system. So that's what you have to remember. They can be named, they can be remembered, they can be studied, understood. So I hope you have understood little here. So that's why once we able to name it, so the naming of the organism is called as nomenclature. And that nomenclature we are specifying the scientific name known to all organism. Okay, when I say American should know, that means it is scientific. So American as well as Indian will know the scientific name, and that scientific name will have many common names. Okay, many common names. Like for example, we say mango. Mango trees, you know, there are variety in that. Like how we say Bellari, Alfonso. So like that we are saying the different names. So I'll not go detail about it right now because we are going in detail in the next session. So please note, this is your nomenclature, 1 mark question again. And who is giving? It is not you, it is not your neighbor, it is not even me. Only a person, the recognized institute will do it. And who is that recognized institute? That is your ICBN and ICZN. So it is based on their criteria we are following the scientific name. So how is that? The expansion is there. International Code for Botanical Nomenclature, International Code for of, here you can write it as for or of, no problem, Zoological Nomenclature. Okay. So International Code for Botanical Nomenclature, International Code of zoological nomenclature. So this is your important expansion given for 1 mark. Okay, asked for 1 mark. So remember, each organism has only one name. Now right now you have a name. Okay, I have a name. But remember, when we say the name in general, what are we? We are Homo sapiens. Okay, so scientific name is Homo sapien. Common name or the name chosen for us or given to us, we call it as a name, so that I can identify this person is so and so. So we have a name. That is your common name which we call. It could be a pet name also. But we are saying the scientific name where the whole world will recognize is your Homo sapiens. Of course, we don't say I am a Homo sapien. We never say that. But this is biologically we are categorizing them. So this is what I have just given. What is identification? What is nomenclature? And yes, now we are going in detail with binomial nomenclature. So rules and all, rules, naming, all that standardized by the ICBN and ICZN. So remember, it is for itself. Okay, please note it as for. So here, this idea to start by this institute, one person has given the startup or the kick. When I say kick, it is to begin. So it was started by Carolus Linnaeus, who is known as the father of taxonomy. He gave this binomial nomenclature. Binomial means two names. One is generic name, which we call it as genus. One is specific epithet, which is called species. So we have your common names, which is also called as vernacular names. I'm not going in much detail here. So based on the naming, we call it as taxonomy. So what is taxonomy? Classification of living organisms. Okay, I'll not go in detail in this. I'll just come for binomial nomenclature. Before going to taxonomy, first you should know how to name. Taxonomy is classification. I'm just giving the simple classification, that is your genus, generic epithet, specific epithet, species. So this is called as your binomial nomenclature given by Carolus Linnaeus. I hope you have got the idea. So one example, the mango plant. Scientific name Mangifera indica. Observe how it is written. Here it is capital. Here it is small letter. There is space in between. So which is the first one? Genus. Which is the second one? Species. So the first name will have starting letter capitals. The second name will have small letter. In the starting letter is small letter. So that is how we are giving the rules. So this binomial nomenclature was introduced by Carolus Linnaeus in his book Systema Naturae. Okay. So 1 mark question, what is binomial nomenclature? Answer is here. Scientific naming of an organism using two words is called as binomial nomenclature. So it has two components, generic name and species name. Species name is also called as specific epithet. So this is what your rules, again for 5 marks. So you have to introduce and then give the rules. There are 4 rules. See here, biological names are written in Latin. Are generally Latin. Remember, Latin is a dead language. Nobody uses Latin at present. So we are using Latin words, okay, to name the organism. Now imagine if it is you do not know Latin. No problem, you can Latinize it. Now imagine, Aloysius College, there was one particular professor who found out one particular frog which was a new species. So what he did, he took that frog and named after him and gave the second name as the campus name, which was Aloysius, right? So he made it as Aloysiana. This is how he Latinized the name. See, while writing, See, it should be, this is typed, okay, this is typed. When it is typed, we are writing in italics. When it is typed, it is written in italics. So it's written here, italics if printed. What about handwritten? It should be underlined separately. So if imagine I've written it, I'm underlining separately. Separately it should be underlined. So here you should not join. Okay. So underline separately. When written, handwritten, it should be separately underlined. When it is typed, it should be in italics. So the first word is genus, second word is species or specific epithet. And this one I've already told. First word starts with the capital letter, second word starts with your small letter. So I hope it is clear. Any doubts, any questions, let me know. I'll be sending the PDF. Just check in the last the slide. I've written the questions. I'll be writing the questions and sending you. If you have any questions, please do ask me. And then by evening you have to submit. Okay. Yes. Thank you.